Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to my coronavirus update, April the 6th, 2020. This will be the second update, and instead of starting with the bad this week, I'm going to start with the good. Currently, we are at 351,890 confirmed cases in the United States and 10,377 deaths, so that's less than a 3% mortality rate. That is great news. Also, the exponential rate of confirmed cases directly matching the increase in number of tests being given kind of leads credence to the theory that there are many, many more people currently infected than we know of. The reason that's good is it means that mortality rate is actually much lower because the majority of people that are infected fall into that 80% with mild to no symptoms. It's good news. Also, on the good front, the CDC released a report this week. I'm going to use a Business Insider article about the report. Let me flip over. I'll show you the headline. You can see here, more than 70% of Americans hospitalized with COVID-19 had at least one underlying health condition, the CDC says. Here's the breakdown. I would love to see this headline more balanced. I'd like it to read, more than 70% of Americans hospitalized. No. Only 20% of people that are infected need to be hospitalized. Of that 20%, 70% have underlying health conditions. So this doesn't mean that 70% of Americans that have COVID-19 have underlying health conditions. It means that of the 20% that need to go to the hospital, 70% of that small number have underlying conditions, and that is the cause of having to go to the hospital. CDC does a good job of really getting into it and breaking it all down, but as you can see, none of the above, so that would be no underlying health conditions, non-hospitalized 84%, non-ICU, so that's the number that are hospitalized and do not need intensive care, 7%, and then people needing intensive care, 2%. That's no underlying conditions. Of course, this is with some chronic disease or one of these other issues that's going on. We're really getting into the idea that the coronavirus is not killing people. The coronavirus plus something is killing people. It doesn't make it any less sad, but hopefully it will shed some light on the fact that we all need to be a little bit healthier. We need to stop beating some of these things that we can do through diet and exercise and just taking better care of ourselves. All right, the bad. Let's jump right into it. Our city, county, state governments continue to overreach and overstep their authority and put more and more restraints on the population than is warranted by the current numbers of this disease. I myself drove through a checkpoint coming into Texas to go to work this week where I had to exit the interstate, drive through a line of state troopers, show them my paperwork as to why I'm coming into Texas. I'm an essential worker, so I was allowed to cross the line with no problem, but I believe that passenger cars that didn't have a reason have to fill out paperwork, which pretty much allows the Texas authorities to come to the address you say you're going to be at, and if you're not there, fine you up to $1,000. It's not right. It's just not right. More and more states are shutting down. More and more economies, local and statewide and across the country, are collapsing. 10 million people in the last 2 weeks filed for unemployment. 10 million people. That's unheard of. And it's outrageous that we would do this to ourselves based on fear. And it is absolutely fear. A good article, and I'll post a link in the description, from the American Institute of Economic Research Flip over there. Stand Up for Your Rights. Professor Nut M. Wikoski. Probably butchered that, and I apologize. But this guy seems to know what he's talking about. He has an impressive resume, has an impressive background in epidemiology, which is, how they come up with their studies on viruses and such. Found this really interesting. We should be resisting, and we should at least hold our politicians responsible. We should have a discussion with our politicians. One thing we definitely need to do, and that would be safe and effective, is opening the schools. Let the children spread the virus among themselves, which is a necessity to get herd immunity. That was probably one of the most destructive actions the government has done. We should focus on the elderly and separating them from the population where the virus is circulating. We should not prevent the virus from circulating among school children, which is the fastest way to create herd immunity. We have to be exposed to the virus. We need to be exposed to it. That's the way our bodies learn to deal with these things. By flattening the curve to an extreme measure, we're just prolonging our own immunity's ability to fight this thing off. Yeah, we may save a few cases, no doubt. It works. But the goal should not be to flatten the curve as much as possible. The goal should be to flatten the curve enough that we don't overload hospitals and overload resources. There has to be some mitigation between living life, rebuilding our country, keeping our economy going, and not overloading the healthcare system. The goal is not to completely level the curve. The goal is to manage the curve. I think that's what he's talking about there. But we've allowed our politicians to take full advantage of this, and I heard one, I believe it was a mayor in Tennessee, said yesterday that these sanctions and crippling shutdowns will have to continue until a vaccine is made, and that's just not true. That should not be the goal. We're not looking for a vaccine. We're looking for a reduced amount of mortality rate. Currently, of course, the virus is still mainly killing people 65 and older with underlying conditions. People that are healthy, under 65, take care of themselves, have very little to worry about. Yet it's being portrayed as an Armageddon apocalyptic disease, and it's just not the case. And we have to stop falling for the media's representation of what's being put out there. The media is choosing what scientists have access to the public. They're choosing what stories have access to the public, and they're choosing the narrative that we're all expected to follow. We're expected to fall in line and do what they say and stay at home and relinquish every right that we have as an American. And we need to be cognizant, at least, of the fact that they are taking advantage of the crisis to expand their own power and push their own political agendas. That's pretty evident every day, and it is very bad. The personal side of things. All right, I want to go back. I will say one more thing on the bad, the narrative. Scrolling through Instagram today, and I ran across this, and it's not laughable because it is so sad, but it's a good illustration of just how ridiculous the reporting is on this virus and this idea that we are somehow at war. I believe it was our I forgot his name, but compared it to Pearl Harbor or the 9/11 attacks, and it's not comparable. It's not the same thing. Please stop doing that. So, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy announced that he signed an executive order mandating that all flags across the state be lowered to half-staff indefinitely in honor of those we have lost and all of those we will lose to the coronavirus, and that this will be a constant and visible memorial. All right, Brother Phil, I'm with you. Let's be supportive. Nurses are heroes. Let's do everything that we need to do on that front. But going back to the start of the podcast, we have lost 10,000 people in this country to the coronavirus. The world has lost 73,703 people to the coronavirus. We're flying our flags at half staff in observance of 10,000 deaths in the country. I know, I'm making light of 10,000 deaths. But I wanted to throw out there the average number of deaths per day in the United States. Let me look that up real quick because I don't want to misquote the number. Deaths included U.S. residents only, average 7,708 each day. Every day, 7,000 people die. Every day. We've lost 10,000 to this virus in 2 months. I understand that we need to be supportive of those who have lost loved ones, and we need to fly our flags at half-mast, I guess. But to present that New Jersey, which has lost 917 people so far to the coronavirus, not this week, not last week, so far, 917 people, that those people are somehow more important and need to be remembered more than the other 7,000 people that are dying every day. It's just asinine. It's presenting a false narrative. That's the things we have to get away from. This virus is bad. It's going to continue to be bad until we get over the peak and we start coming down the backside. Hopefully that's very soon. The flatter we make the curve, the longer it will take to get there. It's not very deadly to people under 65 who are healthy. Less than a percentage, flu numbers. And that's what we need to be focused on. We do not need to continue to destroy the economy and the livelihoods of millions. And yes, I mean millions, and I have data because 10 million people signed up for unemployment in the last 2 weeks. That is serious. It is much more serious than what the coronavirus is doing. Sorry, it's my rant, a little bit of a rant. I'm going to sign off with this. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble. It doesn't say unless there's a virus, or unless there's a pandemic, or unless there's a state of emergency. It says the government cannot prevent us from peacefully assembling. And it's in there for very good reason. And we need to stop letting them take our rights away, one at a time, based on some outside fear that we're all supposed to have. It's sad. It really is. Watched a lot of documentaries on World War II this weekend. And I always wonder, how did they do that? How did they convince people to just stand aside while they destroyed what they destroyed, while they killed the people that they killed? It's always amazed me, and I've never really understood it. I've never been able to wrap my mind around it for sure. And I always go back. They came first for the communist, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for the trades unionist, and I didn't speak up because I was not a trades unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I did not speak up because I was a Protestant. Then they came for me, and by that time, there was no one left to speak up. This is how they do it, people. This is how governments divide and draw division. They've got you fighting over what is an essential business and what is not an essential business. Outcry on Facebook through comments from social justice warriors forced Hobby Lobby to close its doors last week. Do you think the people that forced that work at Hobby Lobby? Do you think those people that work at Hobby Lobby enjoyed getting their paychecks and being able to provide for their family and put food on their table? No, you're scared. You're worried that they're going to somehow promote the spread of this virus. You know what you could have done if you're that worried about it? Locked yourself in your house. You can do that. You can completely isolate yourself and have no fear of this virus. But no, you chose to take to your keyboard and write enough comments and write into the local authorities enough that they felt the need to issue cease and desist orders against Hobby Lobby. You effectively took food off of another American's table, you piece of shit. It's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. You can quarantine yourself, you can keep yourself safe without affecting the rights of another person. And you should do so. But if you're taking to your keyboard, urging people to shut their doors and lock their doors and lay their employees off because you're scared, you really need to check yourself. You need to have an eye-opening moment. Who are you to tell someone else what is essential and what is not essential? Who are you to tell the preacher that he can't hold a sermon on Sunday? Who are you to tell Home Depot that they should close their doors and not allow the do-it-yourselfers in their store anymore? Do you not think the person that's working at Home Depot that gets a paycheck every week, are they not essential? Do they not have the same right to the essential groceries and water that you do? They can't buy them unless they go to work and get a paycheck. Every job is essential. There's no such thing as essential business. All business is essential. Everything is interlinked. And if you're sitting at home and you're drawing a paycheck, if you have the ability to work at home and still get paid, or your employer's good enough to continue to pay you, or you are already on some type of government assistance, and you are for and urging and agging on the closure of these businesses, you're the most hypocritical person I believe I know. And I'm sad if I do know you, because it is not right. We have to get things back on track. We have to stop living in fear of this thing. We will beat it, and we can beat it if we start being Americans and lace up our boots and go back to doing what we do. Yes, distance yourself from older communities. Don't go around them. Don't visit your grandparents. Don't visit your mother and father if they're old. Be conscious of people that have underlying conditions, and they will absolutely need to seek help from this thing. But don't buy into all of this crap reporting that's only meant to scare us. There's a good one came out today. Death of a premature baby in East Baton Rouge, COVID-19 related, officials say. WDSU. That makes me think a baby was born that had COVID-19 and died from it. Does it you? It's not the case. She was born 22 weeks premature and did not survive. And that is sad. It is absolutely sad. Premature baby passed away. The mother did have COVID-19. But just because the baby was born premature and passed away does not mean that it's COVID-19 related. But the epidemiologist, because the mother tested positive, is absolutely going to list that as a COVID-related death. If you get drunk and go smash into a tree and they test you after you die, then you're a COVID-19 death statistic. They are fabricating the numbers to make it seem worse than it is. It is bad, but it's not that bad. It's not so bad that we should be destroying so many American lives with these shutdowns and quarantines. Hopefully things will get better. Again, I urge you, if you feel this way, if you feel like we need to take a stand and start being a little more vocal, take to your social media platform, share the things that need to be shared. Please don't cower to what is being deemed COVID bashing or COVID shaming. It's ridiculous that that's even a term. We have to start being vocal because the other side is being extremely vocal. And there are people convinced that this is going to be the end of the world. And if it is, let's go out with a bang. Let's fight it. Let's don't just lock ourselves in our houses and pretend like something's not going on, because it is. The world can't stop for 2 weeks. The world can't stop for 4 weeks. The world can't stop. It is going to continue. There's going to be repercussions from this. And the economic ones are going to be far worse than the deaths we're going to see related to this virus. Hope you have a great week. Smile, keep your chin up, hit it like you live.